Okay, so now we are starting with a new topic, that is our extreme value, and this is a parametric approach. Write it down, it is very important that what kind of approach it is. It is a parametric approach. Now what is that parametric approach? Means we will be assuming a particular distribution for our data. Means we are assuming a particular distribution for our data. Now when we are saying what we are going to do in this chapter, we are concerned only with the extreme values. Means whatever the values will be on the tails, that is the only concern, in this chapter. Means, see, first of all you have to understand that these tail events are very rare. Okay, you don't have enough data available with you so that you can model these tail events very easily. These are such an extreme event that even 99.99% confidence interval will not give you enough confidence. Why so? Because if suppose four different types of market crises are there in different dates, okay, but only there are four different types of crisis, and all those four types of crises are for different reasons. They don't have the same specific region. Now when the fifth such market crisis will happen, do you think the same kind of situation will arise or the same parameters will be there? No, it can be completely different. So first of all, to model such a rare to the rarest event is very difficult. Clear? So now I know the things is difficult, but still we have to calculate it. At least just for the paper we need to find out that if such and such scenario will happen, what can be the values and what can be the amount of loss. That is important to us. Now in this chapter we are concerned only with the tail risk. Okay, so first of all let me draw, like, these are the values on the x-axis, we all know, and here is the probability. Okay, I am drawing one normal distribution, not well drawn. Okay, so this is my normal distribution. Clear? Now what if I am talking about the fat tails? Now what is that fat tails? It is something like that. Okay, this is something we call them as a fat tails. Now what is this fat tails? See, if I am saying about this area, okay, about this value, this is the values, right? Say -4%. The probability as per normal distribution is this much, but the probability as per this fat tail distribution is this much. Means the probability of such an event is higher. And again, if I am concerned with this part, normal distribution will not show at all. Okay, it's something in 0.00%, something like that. But when I will say about the fat tail, it is showing us some probability. Means this kind of distribution are focused heavily on the tails. Means they show the huge amount of probability that such kind of event can occur. So now our task is to model these tails. Clear? Okay, so I am giving you one example of the distribution which is skewed and the tails are heavy. The name of the distribution is Pareto distribution. Okay, now what this distribution was originally used for is the distribution of income. Okay, that is how the income is distributed. Means we say that 80% of the wealth is in the hands of 20% people. Okay, so it is nothing but a 80-20 rule. Clear? So our Pareto distribution is something like this. Okay, this is something like our Pareto distribution. Here we have the probability and here we have the values. Okay, so higher values have lower probability. Higher values have lower probability. Clear? Now, the next important point about this chapter is that in the chapter there are lots of formulas given, but none of the formulas will appear in the exam, that you have to memorize that formula. It's not at all necessary, but still if you will do, that's good, but for the exam it's not necessary. Okay, now next point, what is important, you need to understand the variables given in the formula. What are the variables they have used in the formula, and their interpretation, means what we are getting from that particular distribution, because it is impractical to ask such a question in which we have to calculate the values with the help of this formula. Clear? In the whole reading they have nowhere mentioned about the word calculate. Okay, so we are concerned only with the interpretation of the whole chapter. Clear? Okay, so now let us enter into the chapter. The chapter is extreme values. So now let us understand that what are those events which can create those extreme events. Okay, it can be market decline or crash, it can be the failure of major institution, okay, as well as some political crisis, okay, or some natural catastrophe, so etc. There can be anything. I can just give you few example, but what can happen in the future no one knows, right? So we can have only the possible scenarios which can happen, which we can think of, but there can be some scenarios even which we cannot even think of, just like a corona event. Okay, it's something which we haven't even thought of, that something can come also. Okay, so these are the extreme events. Clear? So these events are very rare, so it is completely difficult to build a model on such the rare event datas. So now we are into the parametric approach. As I have already said that we have to assume a distribution. Now if we have only a few amount of data, now we have to again then assume a certain distribution. Okay, and one most important thing, that when you are assuming a certain distribution for your data, might not be that distribution is true for your data. Okay, means suppose you got one data and you said that it's following log normal distribution. Okay, you said that it's following log normal distribution, but when it got checked in the reality, it is following exponential distribution. I'm just giving a kind of hint that whatever you have assumed might not be true, so there can be the possibility of huge amount of errors. Clear? But there is one more thing. Earlier we are mostly concerned with the central tendency, that is mean median mode, but now we are completely missing them and we are incorporating only the extreme values. Clear? So now on these extreme values we have created one extreme value theory. Okay, what we have created? Extreme value theory, EVT, and now we are using this EVT in our risk management. Means whenever we can have the huge amount of this market crash, that point of time we have certain data available with the EVT, and from that we will calculate that what can be the possible losses and how we can manage those particular risk. Clear? Now we have this theory. Okay, now there is one more theorem, that is Fisher-Tippett theorem. Write it down. Fisher, name will not come in the exam, but still you must have the idea of this. Fisher-Tippett theorem. What it says? It says that when your sample size, that is when your n will increase, then the distribution of extreme, means whatever the distribution I am creating, that distribution will be known as generalized extreme value distribution. Means our extreme value theory is now converging to a distribution that is the generalized extreme value distribution. When it will become a generalized extreme value distribution? When your sample size increases. Clear? Now this is a formula given in front of you, and this is the formula to calculate the probability. Okay, this is the formula to calculate the probability of x. Now x is the particular value, means if I am saying this is the distribution at this particular point, at this particular value of x, what is the probability? At this particular value of x, what is the cumulative probability? Okay, so here I am calculating the cumulative probability. Now this cumulative probability is dependent upon the three variables, that is xi, mu and sigma. Okay, mu is the mean, sigma is the standard deviation, but mu will tell you the location, means where you are standing, that is the mean of the whole data. This is the, suppose this is the mu. Okay, so it will tell you that what is the location of your distribution, or what is the location. Okay, and what is sigma? It will tell you the scale, that how much you can move. It will tell you the scale, that how much you can move. What is mu? It will tell you the location, that where you are, and sigma will give you the scale, that how much you can move. Now what is xi? Xi is very important for this chapter. Why is it so? Because it is talking about that how much your tails are fatter, whether they are light or they are heavy. Okay, if I am saying the xi is 0, then I am talking about the normal distribution, means the tails are light. Okay, when I will say that xi is less than 1, means it is lighter than normal distribution, means there cannot be no extreme values, means there is not at all the chance of extreme values, because tails are not at all heavy, they are the lightest. When there is no probability of the tail events, do we really try to find out that what are the possible losses? No, because there is not at all the probability. So we are concerned only with when our xi is 0, or more concerned when my xi is greater than 1. So how we can calculate the probability? This is the given formula. Okay, but we don't have to calculate. Now how you can see, there are two formulas. This is one when xi is not equals to 0, and this formula is when xi equals to 0. Clear? But when we are using this formula, there is one small condition. And what's that small condition? The small condition is that our this part, that is this part, should be greater than 0. Then only we can use this formula of generalized extreme value distribution to find out the probability. Means with the help of these distribution and using these three parameters, location, scale and this shape, location, scale and shape, this one is the shape parameter. It will tell you whether the shape of that distribution is heavy or light, given the data of tails. Clear? Now the tails are very heavy, the tails are light, and the tails are lightest, or we can say lighter. Now when we are saying that our xi is greater than 0, we become a Frechet distribution, a name given, and we need to remember this name because we don't have any practical question, but still the theory question can come from this section. So when our xi is greater than 0, what is the name of the distribution? It is Frechet distribution, and this is something like our T distribution or Pareto distribution, because in T distribution and Pareto distribution the tails are heavy. But what is the name of the distribution? It is Frechet distribution. And when we are light, it is similar to our normal distribution, but what is the name given? It becomes a Gumbel distribution. It becomes a Gumbel distribution. Clear? and when tail are lightest, it become a Weibull distribution. It become Weibull distribution. But for this chapter we are not at all concerned with this, because when tails are lightest there is no probability of extreme events. Do we really worried about calculating this? No. But still for the exam we need to know Frechet, Gumbel and Weibull. Frechet, it is similar to our T distribution and Pareto distribution. Gumbel similar to our normal distribution. See, when I say T distribution, their tails are still heavier as compared to our normal distribution. Okay, this is our normal distribution, this is our T distribution where tails are slightly heavier. Okay, distribution starts basically from here. Clear? Now one of the most important thing is that xi. You have to find out whether the xi is greater than 0 or equal to 0. Now with the researcher this is really a difficult task to find out the what is the value of xi. Clear? Now there is two things. One is the parent distribution. Okay, this is the whole data available, and out of this whole data researcher takes the sample data. So this is known as the parent distribution. If the researcher knows with full confidence that what is the distribution of the parent, okay, then suppose, just giving an example, that suppose researcher said that parent distribution is of the T distribution, then what I will say, that my xi will be greater than 0. Clear? Now suppose if they are not confident about this parent distribution, now what they will do, they will do the statistical test, means they will try the hypothesis testing. Now if the null hypothesis testing is our xi equals to 0 and they are unable to reject the null hypothesis, then they have to assume that our data follows the normal distribution and the tails are light. Clear? Now if the researcher want to be conservative, means they don't have any idea about the distribution what is there, but they want to be conservative. So in order to be conservative they have to take more, they have to think that there is huge amount of risk, they have to assume that the tails are very heavy, there can be huge amount of loss, there can be huge amount of risk, then they have to take the xi equals to or xi greater than 0, so that they can model the huge amount of risk, and according to that huge amount of risk they can have huge amount of reserves. Clear? So this is whole about the extreme value theory or the generalized extreme value distribution, where we are mostly concerned with our tail, and the tail shape tells us xi, whether you are greater than 1 or you are 0. If you are greater than 1 you are Frechet distribution, if you are equals to 0 then you are Gumbel distribution, if you are less than 0 then you are Weibull. Greater than 0, equals to 0, less than 0. Greater than 0 will tell you that it is the case of T distribution and Pareto distribution. Equals to 0 will give you the case of normal and log normal, and when xi is less than 0 it is very light, that is the Weibull distribution, means the tails are even lighter than the normal distribution. Clear? So now let's move to our next point, that is peaks over threshold. Now I will draw one particular graph for you. Now suppose I am taking 5-day data. Okay, this is a every week data, this is a complete week. Okay, this is these lines are showing the amount of loss. Okay, these lines are completely showing us the amount of loss. Now if I will take the weekly data, then this data is of the huge amount of loss means if I am taking the peak only, every week peak. This is again the every week peak which is quite high. This is again high. This is again high, and this is again high. So if I am taking the weekly data, can you see one thing? In the fifth week, see, there are many data which are above this peak. So this week will be very happy, but when it comes to this week, this will become angry. Why? Because he will say that look at the other week, he is lower than this, but still they are not considered as the peak. So we have created a threshold. Now any loss above this threshold will be considered as the peak over threshold. So what are those data? See, these are the data which are considered as the peak over threshold. So it can be twice or thrice in a week, that's not the issue. Means this is our threshold. Okay, I call it as mu, that is my threshold. Any loss above this will be considered as the peak over threshold. So this is nothing but a simple approach, okay, and this is nothing but an application of our extreme value theory. Means in our extreme value theory we are also concerned with the values which are extreme, but now here we are putting one threshold. Means how we will qualify them as extreme? In order to qualify them that they are extreme, we put a barrier. Means any loss which are above those barrier are considered to be as the extreme values. Clear? There is one benefit when we are using the peak over threshold as compared to the extreme value theory. What is the difference? The difference is that when we are using our extreme value theory, there are huge number of parameters. Means there are 3 parameters: location parameter, scale parameter, and shape parameter. But when we are using this peak over threshold, the number of parameters are reduced. Clear? So here the important terminology is that we are concerned with the maxima and minima of the losses. Like what are the losses which are maximum, okay, and we are concerned with the large sample size, not the small sample size, because here we are incorporating these small values as well. So our sample size should be large enough. Clear? So here again our x will be the loss, that is the value on the x axis will be the loss, but here our losses will be on the y axis side. Clear? Now see, here we have only one variable term that we are using, and that is our mu, and that is also not variable, that is also a constant, because that we have decided it earlier. Now understand that what we are trying to calculate, that is the cumulative probability of that loss, that will be equals to the probability of x minus mu. Means your loss minus threshold. Okay, when your loss minus threshold will be above, means you are in the peaks. Okay, you are in the peaks, your data are into the peaks, so it will be obviously higher. But see, there is a small x given, means the difference between the loss and threshold should not breach a particular value, that is x. There is a small x given. Means suppose I am saying that my loss is 100 and the threshold was 70. My threshold was 70, means how much is the difference? The difference is 30, and I have set the limit of 45. I have set a limit of 45. So now can I say my 30 is less than equals to 45? This is particularly a condition when the loss is greater than mu. Obviously my loss is greater than mu. So I want to calculate the probability for all the datas which are above the threshold, but yes, below this specified limit, as this is conditional that our loss is greater than our threshold, and that will be calculated in this way. Means what is the probability of x plus, sorry, this is a small x plus mu. That what is the probability of small x plus mu minus the probability of mu divided by 1 minus probability of mu, you will get the conditional probability of peak over threshold. Clear? Now there is one most important thing which is important for the exam, that the value of loss, okay, the value of the loss, its parent distribution is a normal or log normal distribution. This is very important. The x which we are using here, this x, the parent distribution of this x means the parent distribution of this loss is normal distribution or log normal distribution. Now when we are doing our extreme value theory, what we have studied, that when our n, that is the sample size, increases, our distribution will become generalized extreme value distribution, generalized extreme value distribution. Clear? But now there is one more theorem of GBPDH, theorem of GBPDH. Okay, basically these are the name of few person, the name start with GBPDH. Okay, so what their theorem says, their theorem says that when our mu, that is our threshold, it keeps on increasing, when our threshold keeps on increasing, the peak over threshold or the distribution of our peak over threshold will converge to, will become a generalized Pareto distribution, that is GP distribution. When our sample size will increase, our distribution will become generalized extreme value distribution, and when our mu will increase, then our distribution will become generalized Pareto distribution. Clear? So these are the two formula given for generalized Pareto distribution when our mu gets larger and larger, but when our xi is not equals to 0, we will use this, and when our xi is equals to 0, that is our normal distribution, log normal distribution, then we will use this. Clear? Now all the values are same as we are using in the GAV, but you can see that I have added a new term, that is a beta. I have replaced the standard deviation, or we can say I have replaced that sigma with this beta. Okay, there the sigma was the scale parameter, in the Pareto distribution our beta is the scale parameter. Clear? Now when we are talking about the GEV, it is very difficult to find out the xi. Okay, that what should be xi, and when we are using this GP distribution, I have to find the mu, that is our threshold, that what can be the appropriate threshold. Clear? Now we are calculating peak over threshold, okay, that is POT. There might be some reason that we are calculating the POT. Ultimately we are concerned with the VAR, and with the help of VAR we used to calculate our expected shortfall. Expected shortfall is nothing but the conditional VAR, means everything towards the left will calculate the VAR of each values, and then we will take the average. So with the help of POT we will calculate the VAR, along with that we will calculate the expected shortfall. Clear? Now see how we can calculate the VAR with the help of all the given data. Now see what are the variables we are using. This is our threshold, this is our beta, this is our xi. Now see, there is something new in number, that is small n and capital N. Now what is the small n? This is the total number of observation we are including. And now what is this capital N? Capital N, this is the number of observation which are above our mu. What is mu? Mu is our threshold, beta is our scale parameter, xi is our shape parameter, confidence interval. So with the help of this formula we will be able to calculate the VAR. Clear? Now how we can calculate the expected shortfall? Expected shortfall is VAR divided by 1 minus xi plus beta minus xi mu 1 minus xi, or I can simplify is more, that is var plus beta minus xi mu divided by 1 minus xi. In this way we can calculate the expected shortfall. Okay, now let us do one small question. Okay, not for the level of exam but just for practice. Okay, and one thing I can request you, if possible, just try to remember these two formulas of var and expected shortfall. Try to. Okay, in case if something will come out, then what we can do. Now suppose our beta is 0.75, xi is given as 0.25, mu is given as 1%, means any loss above 1%, as well as capital N by small n is given 5%, means the number of observation which are above the threshold divided by the total number of observation is given to you. So again you have to reverse this to fit the stuff into the formula. Now what is the var? Var, if we will try to fit, okay, I will write the formula again, that is mu, that is 1%, we will take it as 1, plus next beta by xi, that is 0.75 divided by 0.25, bracket open. We will reverse this, okay, because we have small n by capital N, that is 1 by 0.05. Next 1 minus, what should be, what is the percentage of var we are calculating? We are calculating 1% var, that means what is our confidence interval? 99, means 0.99 minus 0.25 minus 1. Okay, so start calculating it, find out the value of this. Now calculate expected shortfall. The var is 2.486%. Okay, now expected shortfall, that is, what is my var? 2.486, that is 2.486 plus what is my beta? 0.75 minus 0.25 into 1, that is 0.25 divided by 1 minus 0.25, because xi is 0.25, that is 0.75. So solve this and you will get the expected shortfall, that is 3.981%. Clear? So we started with the extreme value theory, and from there we got two things. One is GEV and the other one is the POT. Something common in both of them, we can say that their tail parameter is xi. But when I am talking about that what is the difference in between these theory, and the difference is that how we are focusing on the extreme events. Okay, so here we are concerned with, so we can say that GEV is focusing on the distribution of the extreme, means how the extreme values are distributed, whether they are normal or whether they are into the Pareto, and I have given you the two different names as well. Clear? And what about the POT? POT is focusing more on that how the values are distributed, but only those values which exceed a certain threshold. Only those values which exceed a certain threshold. First of all, how they are similar? In this way. How they are different? GV is focusing on the distribution of the extremes, means how the extreme values are distributed by giving a particular distribution, but the POT focus on the distribution of values, only those values which exceed a certain threshold. Clear? There is one more thing, that GEV have many estimation as compared to the POT. Clear? That GEV has more estimation of parameter as compared to POT. Now apart from that, there is one more thing. When I am saying POT, I have to calculate a threshold. Okay, so when I am saying that I have to calculate a threshold, so there is an additional uncertainty that how much accurate I am with respect to my threshold. Clear? Now our last point is multivariate EVT. Now what is this multivariate means? We are using the multiple variables. Okay, why we are using this multivariable EVT? There is a reason. The reason is that because the most of our extreme values, they are dependent on each other. Means suppose I am just taking an example. If there is a huge earthquake, okay, if there is a huge earthquake, this not only destroys the property, this also destroys the financial market, this destroys the other services in the market, and it can also lead to the huge market crash. Okay, next point is that the elliptical distribution analysis and correlation. Means when I am saying what about the correlation, the correlation is not that relevant when we are modeling the EVT. Have you ever seen in this lecture that I am talking about the correlation? No, because here the correlation will not play important role. Why? Because there are many different variables, so correlation will not be able to capture, because correlation will able to capture the relation between two. What about the correlation between these four? So we cannot use the correlation. Okay, so what we can use? We can use the copulas. Okay, modeling this multivariate extreme, it completely requires the use of copulas. Clear? So we know that we have more than one random variables which are involved while modeling. So it is completely challenging for the researcher to model, because these multiple rare events have occurred very rare. Means at the same time the probability of their occurrence is quite low. So these are the problems we face during the research. Okay, so I am just taking the whole chapter in few lines, that we are talking about the parametric approach. Means we have assumed the distribution, and we are talking about the extreme values. That is, we want to know about the tails, what will happen in the tails. We started with the extreme value theory, and if our number of sample size will increase, we will move to generalized extreme value distribution, where we have studied about a new shape parameter, that is xi. If our xi is greater than 0, then we can say that we have the fat tails, and the probability of high losses is quite high, and the name for those distribution is the Frechet distribution. And when my xi equals to 0, the name of the distribution is Gumbel distribution. Then we move to the peak over threshold, that any events, that any loss above the threshold will be considered to be as the peak over threshold, and here we have the lesser numbers of parameters as compared to our GEV. Next, when we are calculating these values, when our mu, that is when our threshold will increase, okay, when our mu will increase, then we can say that our fx means completely, that our probability distribution will converge to generalized Pareto distribution. Then we have seen the formula to calculate VAR and expected shortfall, and then we have studied the difference and comparison between our generalized extreme value and POT, and then at the end we have seen about the multivariate EVT. Clear? And we have also understood that we cannot use the correlation while calculating the extreme values, rather we will use the copulas. Okay, so try to complete this chapter as soon as possible. A very short topic, but yes, it involves the huge amount of like brain. Okay, thank you.